Aloha Manga Club, it's your boy Lohali signing in with the one, the only, 2Spooky. He has been on the show before. He is the godfather of the anime documentary. Spooky, how are you doing this rainy evening where you are at?
Oh, I am fantastic, Brian. Happy to be here. Excited to talk about a range of different exciting topics. And
Yes,
it's a pleasure to be back. It's a pleasure to be back. This is our second time.
this is 2Spooky. Oh my
Ooh.
god. Did I plan that out? No, I made that up as I went along. Yeah, we definitely planned out this live stream before we came on, 100%.
Yeah,
But
we have a whole list of topics.
how have you been lately, Spooky? I know that you just put out a video about Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I know that you have really kind of gotten a good handle on the documentary. So what is next in 2Spooky Land?
Ooh, well, just a lot of the same, honestly. Like I definitely want to try some new ideas, but like I was just telling you before, I kind of keep my videos on a cycle, you could say. So I kind of upload like um different topics or genres kind of like in a certain order. So a lot of the same, but I do have some interesting ideas that I want to try this year going into next year that I'm not going to spoil because special new ideas that I have never tried before, fun fact. But yeah, like you said, I just uploaded a Yu-Gi-Oh video. The next one is going to be Mortal Kombat related. I guess it's not a secret, so don't mind throwing that out there. I'll be actually completing a Mortal Kombat series with that video, so that's exciting. Years in the making.
This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to see Spooky actually finish a series, because next thing that you know, you're gonna actually do a Dragon Ball Z movies and watch every single bootleg Dragon Ball Z.
Fun fact, I have like over 100 of those planned. I've Yeah, I know. Isn't that kind of insane? Like,
Is
I didn't even know 100 live action anime movies existed, but there's more than that. Like, some of these like videos have like multiple movies in them. Like, there's two of them that have 11 movies like in the franchise. I'm like, bro, this is gonna kill me. But
11 live action in the franchise? I'm trying to think of
yeah,
which.
11.
Oh,
Like, if
I'm
you
trying to think of which one that would even be.
shocked. Um, let's just say one of them is by a I would say an older popular mangaka from the golden age.
Uh-huh.
It's where 11 of those come from. The other one is by an author I would never be able to tell you their name, but let's just say that it's based on a popular so basically it's based on a manga, but it just became its own popular series, like outside of the manga, but there's 11 of them. So
What?
yeah.
Weird. So what? Okay, I have to know, just for like my own creative juices, and
Yes.
I'm sure the audience is jonesing. Why do you do your videos on a cycle? Like, what's the advantage to that?
There really isn't. In all honesty, it's more like an OCD thing. So like, you know how on a browser you click on your channel and you go to your videos, right? And they're just like a big block list of them.
Yeah.
So I just think like if I do a certain gap between all of them, it just looks better. That's the honest answer. I have to say there's no like special technical technique of like waiting a certain amount of time or every so many uploads. It's just like when I look at that page and it looks a certain way, I'm happy. Like,
You're like, oh, this is okay. This is how we do. That's great.
yeah, like
Like,
this is here and then go down. Oh, there it is again. Hey, works out.
that's not too bad at all. I mean, like I said, I do mine on a, well, I thought of the video, I might as well make it cycle.
Yeah, like honestly, like I'm just gonna flash this really quick. Whoa! Oh, you didn't even get to see anything, but
Oh,
that whole paper is filled, and those are my next like 25 videos, just all planned out.
I mean, if once we're able to get you back to bi-weekly, which is my hope and dream, to get bi-weekly Spooky. Um, of that, you know what that means? That means that those videos, that's a year's worth of videos right there.
Yeah, like I know for a fact, just knowing what I have written down, some of these videos I could definitely do within 2 weeks for sure. But like those live action ones, unfortunately, just take such a long time because like I really just want to try to make them as best as I can. Even though like it's for a smaller audience. Um, so like they just take a lot of extra research. Like I know the next one I'm gonna do, I didn't think it was gonna take as much, but like the more I think about it, the more it's like, okay, there's a lot more I have to do than I originally expected here. So uh it's like a blessing and a curse to have that many videos planned ahead, is what I can say. Because it's like you know what you're gonna do, you know what you got to focus on when the next upload comes up, but obviously I can also switch things out if a need be, but I tend not to do that. So it's just like also this huge list of like, oh, this is what I have to do or what I want to do. So it's also intimidating.
I mean, like I said, the video that I have coming out before we record this, I sat down. I had an idea for it for like 2 days, and I sat down and recorded it. Whereas there are other times where I genuinely have sat down in front of the camera, started recording one video, and by like the fifth sentence in, I've already completely changed topics to something else and just stuck with it. And I'm not gonna lie, that's happened a fair few times where somebody's
Mhm.
like, "Man, that was a really good, well thought out video." And I just in my head, I don't message them back because I can't tell them the honest truth. I was like, dude, I was winging that whole thing, just
Mhm.
winged it.
Yeah, and like sometimes like from just a scripting perspective, because I know a lot of times with you, you either just kind of go like with what you're feeling or you bullet point it type of thing. So like from a scripting perspective, sometimes you just go in with what you think it's going to be about, or like you have an idea like starting like what to wrap your script around, but then it just completely 180s into what you never expected. Like with the Yu-Gi-Oh one I just put out, I just wanted it to be about the Shadow Charms originally,
Mm-hmm.
but there was so many other things that like applied to them that I felt like I had to touch upon those first. So it just became a lot longer than I originally anticipated.
And I mean, it was short for you, long for normal people,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is,
25 minutes is a big video. Like a lot of people think 10 minutes is like a long video,
dude,
which is kind of crazy.
it's nuts because my voice gets sore after like 10 minutes. 12 minutes in, I start to think that I need a drink of water. 15 minutes in, I've already lost myself in the conversation. See?
Mhm. Stay hydrated, kids.
Hydro homies.
Hell yeah.
No, but there's like getting to see you work has inspired me. And for anyone who doesn't know, I actually reach out to Spooky whenever I kind of want to learn something a little bit more on how to be a better creator, because Spooky creates, you create videos that are absolutely top tier. The quality is good, the writing is good, the editing is good, and you're just
Too kind.
you're one of the most genuine and entertaining people that I've gotten to meet on YouTube, hands down. So
The pleasure's
getting
all
well, I mean, I'm glad that the pleasure's both of ours because that's how nice we are. But Spooky
mine.
is
Indeed.
actually helping me change few things in my videos around, because there have been some stuff that I wanted to experiment with, like editing, and you know, the way that you've walked me through the process. Like tonight, you just showed me how to change a thumbnail and make it look so much cooler in like 4 seconds. And
I like to share my experiences with my friends to, help give them a little boost in some places. Because I feel like, what's the point of having knowledge if you're not going to share it?
I mean, the only point to have knowledge and not share it, just so you can be a self righteous dick.
And sometimes that's okay.
And sometimes that's the only thing. Ooh, see, you got a little bugle. That's a bugle, right? Yeah. I played
I
trumpet.
have
You
no.
think that I would know what a bugle is like?
All I know is it is a Civil War era horn.
Is it like an actual? Is it like actual Civil War era?
I mean, that's just what it said on Amazon. It was the cheapest one I could buy
Oh, okay.
for
So definitely
for
not.
Twitch activities.
So 100% not an actual authentic Civil War horn. Got
Oh
it.
no. Oh no, yeah, it's
Okay. Not,
been
not
through a couple battles.
I. A few gunshots here and there. It is heard.
Yeah, got it. Redone a couple times. Gets
Obviously.
really rusty.
My great 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 grandpappy handed it down to me. He was still alive. So, what are you reading right now, actually?
So I'm reading a couple different things, which is, you know, outrageous for me because I usually stick to a couple series at a time. I keep up with a lot of weekly shonen,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of like monthly series like Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga.
Yeah.
But as far as like what I'm reading that's new, I'm keeping up with the perfect editions of 20th Century Boys. I've started watching Gintama. Um, I am reading Barefoot Gen slowly but surely. Watching Konosuba slowly but surely. I'm watching the rest of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX slowly but surely. I'm pretty sure those are the ones I've hit. And then also recently having watched 1 through 5 of JoJo, but
Yes.
not part 6 through 8. Yeah, that's what I got.
You're
That's
almost
what
caught
I'm
up on JoJo's. You're
Oof,
more than halfway there. More than
part
halfway
6.
there.
What up?
I'm not even one part in.
Oh, really?
You'd
Really?
think that I would be a JoJo stan. Like,
Hmm.
I tell people, I'm like, man, I love trash shonen. They're like, oh man, you must really love JoJo's and Death Note. I'm like, okay, first of all,
Well, I know you
I've
are the number one
Death Note.
Death Note hater in the world.
I am 100% I am the greatest Death Note hater out there, and it defies logic. And actually, since this video is coming out after my Briggs video, sorry everyone, I might have ruined the mystique on my Death Note hatred just a little bit. I apologize. I
Mm.
know, so you might want to pay attention there.
Might want to check that out
It's gonna get
after this
yeah,
one.
obviously, but it's gonna get spicy. But yeah, I haven't read JoJo's, so I saw that you tweeted out something about Gintama that you weren't like it was okay, but you weren't like crazy about.
Yeah,
Has that
I would
changed at
just
all in
say
the last few days?
no, because I haven't watched another episode since tweeting that. Fun fact,
Oh.
but I'm about 20 episodes in. I think slightly less, but I just know that a lot of people like put Gintama on this pedestal of like, hey, this series is actually like, top 5 material for people who've watched it all the way through. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested. Why? So as I'm watching it, I've noticed that like at least in this like first however many episodes, it's just very episodic.
Yeah.
It's more like I get some chuckles here and there for sure. Like it's definitely funny, but I'm not seeing like what this spark is that everyone seems to have. But obviously I know, patience is a virtue when it comes to anime and manga sometimes. So I'm not going to be like, not just drop it. No, I'm not going to do that. But I haven't hit the stride of where I feel like, I just want to keep watching yet. So I'm kind of just like, when I have downtime, just more or less just like turning it on, seeing like, all right, is this one going to do something for me? Yes, no, a little bit, maybe, but it hasn't really like,
I mean,
shown me its true colors.
the same thing could be said about One Piece. Like a lot of people really kind of get onto One Piece's case about not being the end all be all. I'm like, but then the One Piece stands, one of which I am, always say, "Oh no, you just need to get past. You need to get past the East Blue arc, and you'll be fine." I'm like, okay, you shouldn't have to go 100 episodes into an anime before it catches your attention. Like,
I think the difference with those two though would be that Gintama is like episodic on an episode basis,
yeah,
where One Piece at least has like a story arc each time.
yeah,
I'd say like maybe then other than like the first 5 episodes, like there's usually like at least a couple episodes of like the same storyline happening, and then it gets into much longer arcs as we go on, obviously. But I would say that's like the main difference for me. There's a story to follow, whereas Gintama is just kind of like, oh hey, this is happening. Oh, you remember that character? Hey, we're about them now. So I haven't like I haven't really seen like because I hear that there's certain arcs in Gintama that are supposed to be like top tier, but they're not until like forever from now.
you're
And
like,
I don't know.
I have to make it all the way there.
Yeah, and like I don't know. Like there's a couple jokes that make me laugh a lot, but otherwise it's just kind of like just getting through it most of the time.
Like I said, I usually have what I call the 3 episode rule.
Yeah.
If you haven't like really brought something to the table in 3 episodes, whether you have to do a minimum for me in 3 episodes, otherwise you're done. Like Bob's Burgers did not pass the 3 episode test. Archer did not pass the 3 episode test. And this one really gets people going. Rick and Morty 100% did not pass the 3 episode test.
I actually I've only seen season 1 and 2, but I really liked it. I just haven't got past that.
My cousin had me watch. I watched the first episode. I watched something else, and then I watched Pickle Rick episode.
Oh, cool.
And I was like,
funny shit I ever saw, dude.
Dude, I sat there and I was just like, this is why people are rioting in McDonald's is this. Okay, great. Bob's Burgers. I didn't laugh at all during Bob's Burgers during those 3 episodes that I watched. Like there was no laughter that came from my lips. Archer, I think, could have been a better slow burn for me, but I just didn't. If you haven't made me laugh within the first 3 episodes, I'm not going to invest my time because I've got so many other things that I do with my life. Like, boom, I'll just move on. I'll rewatch Scrubs for the 100th time because it makes me feel good. Like I giggle every single time that I watch Scrubs or How I Met Your Mother. Though one of those is admittedly not as socially acceptable now. It's How I Met Your Mother. Barney is a little creepy.
I mean, yes, but that's part of the beauty of it.
It is, and like I said, How I Met Your Mother is top 5 sitcoms for it, like top 5 comedy shows of all time.
Yeah, I've seen it 3 times all the way through. I love it.
Yeah, 3 times, and even that last season has its redeeming. Like, The only thing that sucks was the last 5 minutes of the very last episode. That was.
Yep. I have a differing opinion. I think the last episode is fine. Personally, I think the problem with the last season is the fact that, you know, it builds up to meeting the mother, right?
Yeah.
But we just don't get enough time with her is the problem. Like, you definitely get some good moments in there, like to show like how, like, you know, when they skip ahead like into their relationship and whatnot, you get to see those like good moments, but you don't get like enough of her because she was like a really good fit. You're like, okay, I believe she's the mother. I think she was worth it, you know.
Yeah.
Good on you, Ted. But you don't get enough of like what happens, you know, from, well, I don't want to spoil what happens.
Exactly.
You know, it's been on long enough. How I Met Your Mother spoilers real quick. Skip ahead a couple minutes or like 2 minutes. So we just didn't get enough time with Ted Mosby and the mother, like in their relationship before she died. Right.
Oh yeah.
So
No.
then, that's my problem. But as far as him being like, you know what, I just want to date your Aunt Robin, I'm like, bro, go for it.
I just wish they hadn't killed off, because they kind of undid Robin and Barney's character progression by having her get together with Ted. Because they tried getting together like 3 or 4 different times and it never worked.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
they were also pretty toxic for each other.
They were super toxic, and that's what makes me think like, oh, they still wouldn't work out even if they were mature adults. Is they're not good for each other relationship wise. Friendship wise, they're good because they can get space. Relationship wise, they're toxic. They're not like they're not genuinely like, my example would be JD and Elliot. JD and Elliot, like, you can actually see them mature together throughout the show. That could also be the show's writing being a different style. But you see JD and Elliot kind of mature throughout the show, make admittances about themselves, and take strides as people. And then you kind of see, okay, they're not toxic for each other. They found a way to balance one another out, and they've established both that they're friends and that they're romantically interested in each other. Whereas with Ted and Robin, they just kept repeating the same mistakes over and over and over.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was trying to more or less say that I think that Barney and Robin together was also very toxic. That's what I was trying to originally imply.
Oh.
But it does go both ways. I would just say that Barney with Robin is probably more of a yikes moment. Like, obviously, you know, in the context of the story and all the development between them, they work well together.
Yeah.
But as far as like their relationship long term, like, I would say, knowing they're both their characters, yikes. That's why I can see, like, that's why it didn't end up work out. And, you know, sometimes that's life too. Sometimes that's life. But
I mean, like I said, if I was going to make a top 5 like sitcoms for me personally, Scrubs is always at the top. Like, Scrubs always, the range of emotion that it is able to pull from my soul, top tier. Like, it is One Piece tier for that kind of thing. Then I will actually say Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I thoroughly enjoy. I think it's very well written. I think it's witty. I think it's funny. It's really, really good. Then I would go Parks and Rec, How I Met Your Mother, and then The Office.
I feel that. I've only actually seen, out of those, The Office and How I Met Your Mother. I did start watching Scrubs once, but what happened was I fell asleep, and autoplay put me like however many episodes ahead, and I was just like, bro, I don't remember where I was, and I just haven't gone back.
Scrubs
that's my problem.
Scrubs
I liked it.
is really, really good. It's just, you don't watch season 9. Season 9 is you count season 9 as a different series. Because they started off with different characters in a different location, but they pulled the main characters back for cameo appearances. I'm like, that's not the same show. Can't call it by the same name.
That's weird.
Yeah, well, that's because they were trying to capitalize on the they were trying to capitalize on the popularity of Scrubs, and they're like, oh, we'll do this, and then they ruined it.
Oh, so they pulled like Joey.
Yeah, and not even they pulled Joey if they kept the name Friends.
Okay, yeah, that's
exactly it. Friends was okay. I liked Friends. Friends was decent.
Yeah, I've seen some of Friends. I guess I did also see a good chunk of 2.5 Men. I forgot I even watched that, to be honest.
Ooh,
but
that 70s
that
show.
Was big yikes moment. Bruh. That last season. Trash.
The rest of it, though. Red Foreman is like, the older that I get, the more that I agree with Red on some things. Like, God, he had a point. He had a damn good point. But we're getting really far away from manga right now. Holy
we should
cow.
probably.
But that's okay. That's because you and I are such good friends. I think this is socially acceptable. Like,
yeah, I mean, the people who are like, "Hey, the title's Manga Club," Can't talk about sitcoms.
Guess
Shut
what?
up.
They're all tied together, and we're gonna pull it into one solid thing. Do you think that there are gonna be any American artists who get into the manga community, the manga creation community, being inspired by a mix of the sitcoms of today with the manga of yesteryear?
Mm. I think it is certainly a high possibility, especially with what everybody has access to these days. The fact that as long as you know how to draw, even
Mhm.
to like the level of one from One Punch Man, even if you can just draw that minimalistically, you can make a great manga,
Yeah,
right? Like or a web comic or webtoon or whatever you want to call it. You can still like make great art. And like even just with video making, like even just podcasting, what we're doing right now, like years ago, this would not be possible for like the average person because there's so many extra steps you have to take. Whereas now we have all this technology and ability in our hands to just do to actually pursue these creative outlets,
and the thing that I
right?
actually find really interesting, and we talked about this, I believe, on Twitter. I think I pointed this out to you, is that Shonen Jump is accepting applications worldwide for their
Yeah,
Tezuka contest, which
and like
is a first.
yeah, it's super exciting too because like when you think of anime and manga, like it's always like, oh well, it's not really an anime unless it's from Japan, right? But there's so many like Western influenced shows that are basically anime, like Avatar and I don't know. I mean, maybe you could
Samurai
argue
Jack,
Samurai Jack. Yep.
and actually, what's My Life as a Teenage Robot?
And like even the Boondocks is inspired. They were inspired by like the style of Samurai Champloo. So like that's why it's like very anime a lot of the times in that show, even though like it's very not anime at the same time.
Hmm.
So like and like also I don't know what series it is to be completely honest, but I know like having watched a lot of like the manga tube collection videos about all the people who strung across it. I've watched a ton of them because I it's just something I enjoy. But a lot of people point out like a certain series that's like made by a mangaka from America that like went over to Japan. I don't know what series it is, but like people have pointed out like, hey, this manga is from a guy in America who went to Japan. It's really good. And then they put it back, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I
So
definitely
I
know
know it
which one that
happens.
is for sure.
I know it's like 3 volumes long. That's all I remember. I don't know the name, but
Oh, is that Samurai Boy?
I have no clue. That doesn't sound it, but I could be wrong because I also don't remember. But
Hmm.
just the fact that that can also happen, is very cool. It definitely, I think anime eventually is going to transcend the medium completely, especially with like how manhwa are getting adapted now, which I
Oh,
saw today. Sweet Home getting anime I think it's anime, but I've also heard it could be live action. But it's getting an adaptation regardless. And by the same author as Sweet Home is a Bastard, which is a 10 out of 10. You should read it.
did
Uh
you? So my friend Zach from Uchu Shelf, and that's how everyone always
yes.
says. That's a great intro, by the way. Sorry, Zach. Um, but he tweeted out that the Breaker is getting potentially sales in English. Like they're potentially creating a 400-page omnibus for the Breaker,
Hmm.
which is a Korean manhwa. And what that leads me to believe is one, that's going to kick up interest and make it so that we finally get the series finished. And two, most importantly, I think they may make it into an anime.
Like it's super exciting because like it's just transcending the medium to the point where I think anime is not going to be just just things from Japan anymore. It's going to get past that. Manhwa is going to be included. Um, Western shows that are basically anime. I don't know. I think it's just going to transcend what we know as anime right now
The
in the coming
hard,
years.
the thing that I think is going to be the real difference maker is how can they translate webtoons and manhwa, because they are to manhwa is a little bit closer to manga for
Yeah.
sure. But how are you going to transfer webtoons to a uh, you know, anime format? I mean, it's obviously possible, but just
Hmm.
that story structure I think is a little bit different, since I
Yeah.
know it sounds strange, but the scroll down to me feels like it tells a story in a different way and utilizes storytelling capabilities in a different way. And I think
Hmm.
Tower of God is the first one, and I haven't gotten to watch much, but is it because of the translation issues that it's having some pacing problems?
It's hard to say. I mean, I haven't actually watched it myself because I had not heard about Tower of God previously, so like it's all news to me. And I'm very bad at keeping up with weekly anime. It's I can't do it. Manga I can do, anime can't do. Like I usually can stick to one a season. So like this season, Kaguya-sama season 2, that's all I'm keeping up with in terms of like something that comes out weekly. And even then, I usually come back to it like every 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
So with Tower of God, I just know I can't do it. So I'm gonna wait till I can binge it or just read it. That's probably what I'm gonna do.
There's so much of it to read, like it's absolutely ridiculous.
I've heard it's kind of like the One Piece of manhwa, honestly. That's what people have described it as to me.
That's a weird way to describe it.
I mean, I don't know anything about it, so I can't say, but
there's just so much work that we need to do to make everything flow better when it comes to relations, because I think that there are some inherent issues that arise when you translate something from Korean, Japanese to English.
Yeah. That's something I've always wondered too, is just like, like let's say you watch an anime in the English dub, right? Or you're watching it with subtitles in general that are obviously, somebody had to translate those words and put them in there. How accurate is it to what they're actually saying? Because like you can't know unless you speak the language.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to take it at face value.
And I think
unless you somehow go through a translator, but even then
there was a video that I watched that was making fun of fan subs. It was making fun of fan dubs where they had like the actual legitimate translation underneath, and then they had the what the people were saying like lining up, and it did not match at all. Like, it was just the weirdest thing.
I have just a funny story real quick. So I purchased a movie. Are you familiar with horror movies at all in general?
I know a few horror movies. I don't watch them personally, but I know about them. I know they exist.
Okay. Well, are you familiar with The Grudge and The Ring?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a movie that kind of like, Freddy versus Jason, where you put two murders up against each other. There is Sadako versus Kayako, which is where The Ring faces off against The Grudge. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty dedicated to both of these series at this point. I gotta see this movie. It's not very good. I will say that right now. Not very good, in my opinion. But they don't really distribute it in like official English. So I'm pretty sure I bought like a bootleg, basically. But so they have English subtitles in it. And so it seemed fine. But then there's this one part in the movie where they're doing kind of like a ritual, you could say, or like the like kind of like doing like a religious chant. And so it kind of sounds just like gibberish, but the person who was doing the subtitles all of a sudden starts putting up Harry Potter spells. Like all of a sudden they're just like, she's just like, oh, and then it's just like fuck, why can't I think of what they are?
Wingardium Leviosa.
Yes. Wingardium Leviosa, the one to open locks, and then they finish with the Baba Cadabra. I was like, bruh.
Wingardium Leviosa. Oh god, how can I not? It was one of the major spells that Hermione did in the first book when they were unlocking.
Yeah.
I don't know
why I can't think of it either, but
why am I'm such a huge Harry Potter buff too. This is like forgetting who has what devil fruit in One Piece. Like, how do I not remember that? Oh god.
But anyways, just the fact that they were putting these spells up on screens, like, bro, I know what you're doing here, and I know you're making a fucking joke, you translator, but I don't like
Alohomora.
Yeah, Alohomora. It's just like so it does that, and then it finishes with a Baba Cadabra. I was like, bro, come on.
What are you doing?
Why are you pulling my leg right now?
Like
the rest of it was, very like I could tell what was going on, at least, according to what was happening on screen. It seemed like believable dialogue.
And then
so I was like,
okay. You probably just didn't want to translate that one because it was probably like
well, like it was just chanting, so I wouldn't have even expected them to like actually say like, oh, this is what they're saying. He probably was like, oh, they're not even really saying anything, so I'm just gonna joke with these English speakers. Ha ha ha, you suck.
Watch it in Japanese, and you're like, I don't speak it. Did you run into that issue when you were watching the amazing bootlegs like Dragon Ball?
Oh, so the Magic Begins, which is all right, let me lay it out. So the first Dragon Ball movie, which is the Korean one, doesn't have subtitles anywhere. Like I looked everywhere. None of the YouTube videos that have the movie uploaded have it. There's no like site where you can like download subtitles for it. Nobody has subtitled that movie. So you just kind of have to take it at face value with what's happening on screen. Dude, I looked everywhere. I probably spent like a solid 5 hours trying to just search to see if I could find it anywhere
You're
and
so
there
much
is
more dedicated than me. I would have spent like 30
yeah.
minutes and been like, all right, I'll just watch it in a foreign language and just
Well,
guess
I
it.
just wanted to know because it's like if I'm gonna be comparing the two, I have to know what they're saying, right? But I couldn't, so I'm like, all right, I have to go with just what I can see and what I think is happening. But with the second one, they have it with subtitles and they have it with an English dub, and I just decided to watch it with the English dub just because I'm going all in with this, and it's fantastic. There was some great dialogue moments in that, like there's one where like Goku first meets Bulma, right, and like he's kind of like figuring her out, and she's saying like, "Hey, you can't touch a girl," and all this stuff, and they both have this bonding moment where they're like, "Oh, my grandpa said you can't touch girls because that would make you a rapist," and like they both said at the same time, like, "Bruh," I don't know, it's just really funny because they said it so nonchalantly but excited. I don't know, it's
They were,
just
they were like,
translation things like that are weird.
wow. Oh, that's a tough one. That would be. That's that, dude. It's so interesting to think about like fan dubs for super popular series because I know that Hajime no Ippo has fan dubs, and
Oh boy,
they are rich. Let me tell you, I don't know if those guys ever got any better, but they sure probably couldn't have gotten much worse.
hell yeah. It kind of reminds me just of like so Nux is doing this video series where like he has YouTubers like dub over clips of anime, and
Certain
I
kinds
recently
of
did one of
anime,
those with him.
perhaps.
Yes, but I recently did one with him, like just a couple days ago, and there's this one clip where like it's in Japanese, but they bring in like one English speaker to like voice in English a guy who's supposed to be English. So like it's this big buff dude, and then he's just like, "Hey, what are you doing? You want to fight?" And it's just like he sounds so like just like the most unthreatening person you've ever seen in your life. While this guy's like like got the head throb, and like he's ready to go.
Is that like Pika level threatening? Like the voice is up here and his body's like 10 and a
No, he
half
just
feet tall?
picture my like monotone voice, but like slightly like, "Hey, you punk, what are you doing? Do you want to fight me? I will fight you." Just kind of like very just unintimidating like that. So
That's legendary.
I'm at like that's what I picture when you're talking about Ippo over here. Just some
Oh,
guy like, "Hey, I'm going to fight you." Boxing.
it was close to that level. It was like, "Oh no. What are you guys doing over here? How dare you?" I was like, "Okay. Uh, all right. I guess." Like I kind of wanted to like call in and say, "Hey, do you guys want me to redo some of these voices? I'll do it for free just to make it just a little better." But I don't know
Hell
who
yeah.
I'd voice. I don't have like I don't. Is it weird? Like I can't picture myself voicing any characters ever.
I mean, I feel the same way. I've been told when I get really monotone that I can like do a Kisuke without trying from Bleach, like the dub actor.
You could do Kisuke.
So
You could do You know what? When you hit that like nice solid like spooky drone, yeah, I think you can definitely do Psyche K, lead
I
character from
haven't
Psyche
seen that
K.
yet. I've not seen that yet.
I like just the way that you deliver some of your lines is just would be perfect.
Hell yeah.
Just
I like it.
I mean, like I said, I there's literally no character that everyone's like, oh man, I'd like to voice it. I'm like, if I ever heard my voice on a dub, I would go nuts because I'd be like, that's not me. I don't sound. My voice isn't that high pitched, and then I just walk around dropping my voice by like 3 octaves. Like it's so hard for me to rewatch my own videos, like and listen to my own stuff because I'm like, not that's not my
Yep.
voice. That's
Yep. I found in as I've matured that I'm able to like rewatch a video without issues. Obviously, like old ones, it's kind of like, bro, what was I doing? Because like you just notice every mistake. But like I could watch like the most recent upload I did and be fine. But if I had to watch it with somebody else, I just couldn't do it.
no.
Couldn't do it. It's just
Like
weird.
I sit
I
there and
just
I hear my voice, and like to me, my voice sounds like down here for the rest of you. But out loud, I'm like, oh god, that's what you guys hear, because it's
yeah.
actually a really interesting scientific thing. Your voice, what you hear if you don't record it, doesn't sound logical. Like, and the other
Hmm.
reason why, if you see a picture of yourself and you think that it doesn't look good, it's because whenever you like picture yourself, you see yourself in a mirror, it's a 180 from what it actually is. So you're just seeing your face in a different way. But with your voice, it actually reverberates in your throat and in your eardrums just a little bit differently, creating it to either drop or raise, just depending on how your throat's structured. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
So like unless you record it, you never hear your actual voice.
And think about how people. You got to wonder how people in the past thought they sounded like when they were talking, and they could never actually hear it.
Bro. It's kind of like where you see like paintings from back in the day. It's like they tried really hard to make this a self-portrait, but it looks kind of odd.
Like you're like,
Odd.
did you guys not have mirrors?
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't. I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. Another interesting fact. I don't know why I'm dropping so many interesting facts tonight.
I mean,
Another interesting fact is that the reason why so many like old black and white photos were taken seriously is because that was one of only a few photos that you were going to get to take in your life. They were expensive, and you wanted to look serious because it was going to have to go through a whole range of things. So it wasn't like, oh, you had to stand there and just like, because it took a 20-minute photo. No, it was still a quick photo. It was still, less than a minute. And
it's pricey.
yeah, and they were just like, oh, nope, we're not going to smile because what happens if this is my death funeral? Like, this is my death picture? Oh, no.
Can you believe that people used to live in black and white? God.
Nuts. The first time that black and white actually left the world was The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like that moment, all of a sudden, color existed. It's cool.
Just doesn't make any sense. Like, where was color before this? Like, who made color? Who gave us color? Was it Tezuka?
I'm having kind of an epiphany right now. I'm sorry. I feel like I just evolved learning, colored. Who made color? Why have we never asked this question?
Who names colors? Who gets it? Okay.
Who names a color a fruit?
Or who names a fruit a color?
Fuck.
What did they just look at an orange and go, this color and fruit name orange? Like when they were naming things off?
Me name orange.
Me name orange. Like that's but now that I think about it, I'm trying to think of other like foods that are named after like the one for one, like an orange is orange and stuff like that. Are there any other like things in the world that are like that? I don't think so. Because it's like you use it as you use the color like baby blue or like plum purple, but it's not like, oh, this is plum. You know that the color plum came from the word plum.
Well, you could say green apple because it's an apple, but it's green.
Yeah,
and
but
it's an actual classification of apple. Green apple.
A delicious apple. Granny Smiths are goats.
I think it's honey something. Honey crisp. Those are my favorite.
Ooh, honey crisp are dope. Jonah Gold. I don't know. I'm just throwing out random names that sound right to me. I don't know. Like Fuji. Gold Dio Raja.
Kono Dildo.
Nani? Man, anyone listening to the stream is going to think that we're absolutely crazy right now.
It's been a long day. So
it has been a long, like you've been up later than like early. You got up earlier than you normally do.
Oh yeah, I got up at 6 today, and now it's 8.
Yeah, so. I got up at 5. I am.
Ooh,
that's my Monday. My Monday through Thursday is 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.
I feel that, just differently.
There's just okay. So getting back to the actual manga.
Yeah,
like
welcome back to the Manga Club.
Welcome back, Manga Club. It's your boy Lohali signing in for the 12th time to bring us back to the conversation. So when you actually decide what series to start reading, do you just take suggestions from your friends? Do you make educated guesses? Like, how do you choose your series to read?
I would say it's a weird, big mixture. So I have a gigantic watch list. Anytime somebody suggests me something and I don't recognize that I have it on there, I just add it, even if it's a duplicate, just so I'm just kind of keeping track of everything that's been told to me. Sometimes if a friend, hypes something up enough for me, or they're very adamant about me watching something, I might like in my mind prioritize it a little more than I initially would have. But I would say a lot of times it comes down to like maybe, just having like looked into what people are saying about it, discovering it on my own, or just like something that just sounds interesting from the premise alone. And I'll just be like, I kind of want to jump into this right now. So like, and other things, from a content creator's perspective, sometimes I think, oh, if I read this and I like it, this could open up new windows of videos I could make, right? So there's also that aspect as well. So I have to think like, okay, so do I want to read something purely for pleasure, for possible content and enjoyment if it's good? Or do I want to watch something that a friend suggested? Do I want to just scroll through this list and pick something? I don't know. It just kind of happens.
I mean, kind of the best way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and plus with this live action series, like there's so many series that I'm learning about I never knew existed. So like obviously I'm gonna have to experience those series for the first time before actually like getting into it in video format. So I want to just like have that initial like read through first experience and then maybe analyze it later. But there's so many other series that like I'd never even heard of that like now I have to think, oh, okay, so this is what this is. It hasn't been suggested to me by anybody else, so it's kind of like, you know, self-discovery, which sometimes makes series more enjoyable. So how about you?
Me? Oh, I just kind of throw things at a dartboard and see what sticks.
Yeah.
Or I
okay.
just reread the same series for the 5th time. I mean,
It'd
let's
like
be
that,
honest
too.
here. I reread the same series for the 5th. That's the only reason why I'm such an expert on One Piece. I can give a pretty solid rundown of Kingdom. Hajime no Ippo, I can probably talk more than most people reasonably can.
Mhm.
But like, man, I haven't picked up a new series in quite a while, honestly. I haven't done any manga hauls. I haven't bought anything. I've
Mhm.
been really, really slowing it down on that aspect so I could focus on creation for YouTube, focus on myself personally, and try to get a few things figured out just where I'm wanting to go as a YouTube creator, which you've actually helped me get a much better understanding of what that whole thing entails.
I'm happy to help and answer any questions at any point.
Will I ever get taller?
Do you have stilts?
I can make stilts.
Then maybe.
I can live
It's
with this.
possible. It's possible.
But, you know, when I first reached out to you for the very first Manga Club, this isn't a story that I've told one or two people this, and I don't remember if I ever told you. I was super nervous reaching out to you for the first time because, you know, you are a larger creator on the platform.
Mhm.
And I had, you know, watched a few of your videos. I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool if this guy hopped on. And then you actually followed me on YouTube, which was probably one of the dopest moments. I was like, what in the world? And the second that I saw that, I was like, man, I need to reach out to Spooky. I need to reach out to see, like, he's subscribing to me, which means that he must think that content I'm putting out is informative or education. And then
Mm.
so I reached out to you, and it's been history ever since. It's been friendship, it's been mentoring. um you know, everything that I've gotten to learn from you has paid off in dividends. And as I've told you many a time over, if you need anything, you know that you never have to hesitate to ask me.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm terrified at what flavor it's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be like a Michael Corleone level flavor. Wow, level favor. There was a lot of
So,
misspeak.
so Brian, I have a predicament here. There's a body in the trunk. I need to get rid of it. Now you feel obligated.
Whose is it?
That's confidential.
Oh yeah,
Anyways,
yeah, cool.
so
I'm in. Wait, do I
yeah,
care about them personally?
yes.
Oh damn. Well,
Fuck.
looks like I got to do it anyway. Shit.
Sorry. Not trying to drop these bombs. I gotta remember. No F bombs.
No,
Bad.
it's all good. You can.
Um,
The rules have changed slightly. F bombs are now acceptable since I have to classify whether or not my content is made for children or not.
not
And
for kids.
this
No.
is this is if you are under the age of something, you need to not be here because this is a mature-ish channel. This is a
Yeah,
physically mature channel. We say the fuck word.
Oh, what?
Oh,
Whoa.
oh, oh.
Oh my god.
It's not like we're saying that one SpongeBob cuss word. What God? What was that cuss word? The dolphin noise from SpongeBob.
I mean, I can't do it, but I know you're talking about.
You know that I'm busted on that. No, this is. But I was super nervous to reach out to you just because of, you know, thinking that as a smaller creator, I didn't have anything to offer. What's some advice that you would give? Because obviously, I kind of want to give some advice to smaller creators reaching out to larger creators as well. But from a larger creator's perspective, what's kind of some advice that you would give to the smaller guys when they want to reach out to somebody who seems bigger than them?
I would definitely say, like, obviously, not everybody's the same, so I can't speak for every other large creator. But for me personally, I usually find it with like, obviously you can't be friends with everybody. That's just a fact in life that is, sad. You can interact with people all you want, but you can't just like one on one have conversations with everybody you meet through like this online space. But for me personally, I find that, like when I come across a channel that I like or like a YouTuber, streamer, whatever, and you like their content, you want to see more of it. That's usually when like I'm more willing to try and like interact with a person. So like if you're a creator and I like and respect what you're doing or see like potential and all that kind of stuff, like I want to like if they want to reach out to me, I want to be able to, help them, even if it's just answering a single question, anything like that. But I would say as far as just like reaching out to creators, period, the worst they can say is no, that they like don't want to do whatever you're asking or answer whatever question, or they just don't reply. I mean, I find very rarely, unless you're like doing some really weird stuff, like going up to their front door. I mean, I can't see that a creator is going to be like, like a douchebag or anything. Like, I can't see you being like, hey, I have this podcast. Would you like to come on it? And then being like, no, frick you, bud. Get out of my email. I can't see a lot of people doing that, right? So as long as you're, going in that you might not hear back or they might not want to do what you're doing, as long as you can accept that, then like there's really nothing to be afraid of. Because at the end of the day, we're all people too. And regardless of number, I mean, at the end of the day, it is just a number. It shouldn't matter like what your subscriber count is based on who you can associate with or who's out of your league, etc. So I would just say, like, if you want to reach out to a creator, the best way to do it, especially if it's a business or collaborate type of thing, reach out to their business email, be like, hey, this is what I want to do, or yada yada. But I'd say most creators I've come across are happy to like just answer questions or anything like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's honestly, um, I think my biggest piece of advice on this is 100%. You reach out, create custom messages. Don't copy paste the same thing to everybody because you can. People can tell when things are copy pasted. In the industry that I work in, we get a lot of copy pasted. Oh, hey, I saw that. You are this company. I can do this for you, and it's just a comp. It's constantly copy paste. But be your authentic self with each creator. Like when you go in, don't just say, "Hey, oh, hey, I want you to be on here." Like go in with some confidence, but be true to yourself. Like don't try to hide who you are. Don't try to fake your personality because a lot of times creators at a certain level can sniff that out. They can be like, I can pretty easily sniff out like, probably not somebody that I want to associate with, even if you're all golden rosy.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. Like some people, unfortunately are just like not going to be the kind of person you vibe with. Like there's plenty of people I've met, YouTubers and fans alike that just like, not my kind of personality. So I just can't like naturally get along with them. And, that's okay. That's just part of life.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one in this live stream that I don't vibe with anybody in this podcast right now. I don't message them on a daily basis, pining for them because they're such a great friend. Sorry, went too deep. Did I go too deep? Was I too deep there?
Oh no, me neither.
Okay. But I think the best way to form. Oh, were you about to bugle it? Were you about to bugle it?
I was making a joke.
But I think that just reaching out to larger creators is definitely a scary thing that as a smaller creator sometimes you're afraid to do, but don't be afraid to reach out to somebody and say, hey, would you mind, but make sure it doesn't just benefit you. Try to find a way to help them out. Like there's not much that you can offer, but maybe just try to reach out and say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. Is there anything that I can do to help? I think that's another good way. What are your thoughts on like offering to help out in different situations?
I would say it definitely like it depends on the person, the situation. Cause like for me personally, like let's say for instance somebody wanted me to like record just like 2 lines for their video, right?
Yeah.
Like something like that is literally going to take me 2 minutes. It's literally not something that I would be like, hey, if I'm going to do this for you, you have to do something for me type of thing. I'd rather just be like, all right, that's all I got to do, bro. It's easy. Here you go. Just something like small to help them with. But if it's like a bigger project where like it requires more, maybe that's when like it becomes more of a collaborative, like, so I'm providing this, but you're providing this type of thing. Like there's a give and a take. So I would just say it mainly depends on what you're asking from them in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean, I think coming in with a solid plan, like coming in with saying, "Hey, I want you to be on my podcast," is different than coming in saying, "Hey, this is the times that I have available for my podcast. This is how we do it." Like going in with a solid plan of how they're going to be interacting with you,
Hmm.
another advantageous thing, because if you just come in and say, "Hey, I want you to be on my podcast," well then they're having to try to pull out of you, okay, well, when is that podcast going to be? What's the podcast about? How are we going to be talking about it? How long is it? But if you go on and say, hey, I do an hour long podcast, like this is how I reach out to a bunch of different creators. Say, hey, I run an hour long Manga Club podcast that's pre recorded. I do use webcam, um, and I use Google Hangouts. These are These are the times that I have available to record. Let me know what fits into your schedule, and I will make my schedule work around yours. What
Hmm.
that does for you is that sets, okay, these are my ground rules, is kind of what I'm about. And what it does for the other creators says, okay, well, I see that they have a time available here, and I do talk about this subject. Yeah, I can spare an hour on my schedule.
Hmm. Yeah,
I,
and like going into that, that's definitely very helpful for like anybody when you're like working together on something like a podcast. Just having somebody on as a guest, just knowing all that information right off the bat would be very helpful. Um, but like I said, that's also when you kind of have to know that, not everybody's going to have an hour. So like
yeah,
if you don't
absolutely.
hear back or they say, hey, I can't do that or I don't want to do that, you just got to be like, no problem. Thanks for replying.
Absolutely.
And that's that.
Ex-
They just can't be
Except
like upset. Be like, hey, frick you, not coming
take
on my podcast. You son
take
of a
take the L sometimes. You just got to take the L. It's nothing personal. Literally, if you've never had an interaction, and this is just a personal opinion. If you've never had an interaction with another creator and they respond back and say, "Hey, can't do it. I'm sorry." It's definitely not personal. They don't think that you're a crappy person. They just can't do it. Now,
yeah.
if you have been going back and forth with them and like, you've gotten to know each other and then you say, "Hey, can you do this?" and then they say, "No, can't." And they don't like even try to justify, they're like, "Nope." That's when you might want to take it a little personally. Probably should. And like
Mhm.
example going in with a plan, I for a little bit I was asking Spooky advice because I wanted to have both myself and the guest on the Manga Club to be easily seen, as you can obviously at the second time. The problem was I couldn't find a uh, good way to do that. I did find a workaround eventually, but I didn't want to invite anyone onto the Manga Club until I got this figured out, until I test ran it with somebody that wasn't going to be recording with me, so we could tell if it was going to work. When eventually I did, I'm so happy that I came up with that plan, and then I was able to tell the other creators, hey, we're still able to use the same website that I was planning on before, Google Hangouts. We're still able to record it. We're still able to do all this. The other thing, and this is especially if you're doing a podcast, I like to let my guests know, one, right before the show starts, like, hey, this is kind of how I run the show. This is this is how I kind of want our interactions to go. And I also share the screen so they can see what their representation is going to be like. I feel like that's super important because
Mhm.
you're not representing them. You're not only representing yourself as a brand, you're representing that other creator. And so if it's not up to their standards and they say, hey, would you mind making this change? You should be open to make that change so it can suit their brand better. Like, it will never ever offend me if a creator says, hey, I don't do face videos, but I'd love to be on your podcast. Perfect. I'll still run my face next to their logo. That way we can still have that interaction. You still know who's talking at what times. Um, but you have to learn that flexibility is the key to interaction, not just with large and small creators, but creators across any level. Being flexible and coming at them with a solid plan, but being flexible with that plan, I think, is the paramount to success when it comes to creating projects.
100%. Because like I know even like the first time that I came on the Manga Club here,
I remember that.
um, I accidentally packed my webcam away, both of them, and I didn't know where they were. So like I couldn't face cam even though I originally had intended to do that. So like it's kind of like, oh, hey, I know this was like the plan, but I kind of screwed up. So you're willing to work around that. Everything worked out fine. And also, like, you know, sometimes just being flexible can be helpful, because like I know like there was who Alonzi's podcast. I was supposed to be on his podcast like around the same time I was on the Manga Club, right?
Yeah.
But
Got to you
I
first.
had already made plans with you, and I was going to be moving. So I was like, okay, well, I don't think I have another like window of time that I can see like until I have everything set up of where I can do it. But like after that, just nothing ever like came from it again. So like just the fact that, you know, be flexible and like check up on people. Like if they say, hey, right now it's not a good time, but like maybe message me in like a month, right? When things like when I have what's on my plate right now out of the way. Like sometimes just checking in later is also a good idea.
Yeah, and I always set reminders on my phone. I'll set a Google Calendar. I'll set something. I'll set a scheduled email that will go out to the creator if I have to, because I finally figured out how to do scheduled emails. But just little things like that, respecting the privacy, and like for me, I always tell every single creator, I make sure that they know that they're not being recorded. I tell them that we are recording. To me, that is super important because I want them to feel comfortable in the environment. I don't want them to think that I am trying to record their recording anything they're saying to take out of context later on. It's a simple respect thing.
Yeah.
And it's obviously also kind of a legal thing. Saying, "Oh, hey, yep, hey," but I'm very pro reaching out. I'd rather get a no than not ask.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Sometimes it just takes the courage to ask, because, you know, sometimes you just get anxious about it. Like even just like just taking it back to like back when you're in high school or whatever. Like let's say you have a really important question about an assignment, but like you'd have to ask in the middle of class, and you just don't want to, you know, bring that attention to yourself. It's just stuff like that. You know, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and do what you want to do, regardless of how it might make you feel, or like, you know, so I don't know where I'm going. I screwed up.
You have to bite the. Basically, you have to bite the bullet to get the yes.
Yeah, basically, you just have to follow through, regardless of if you're afraid or not.
Yeah, because odds are, and this isn't the case every single time. Odds are that the larger creator is not going to reach out to you first asking to be on your show.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
That's 99 times out of 100 that will not happen. So you're not going to get to know these people on a different level or interact with them if you're not the one to reach out that hand first and say, "Hey, you know, I'd appreciate you." And I think that's such a massive thing. And every now and then, like I said, I got lucky when you subscribed to my channel. That I saw that as like, okay, there is a line in the water. There's fish. We're gonna go fishing. we're gonna go spook. We're gonna go chasing ghosts. Does that work? I guess your theme's a skeleton though. We're gonna go bone hunting.
All spooky things are applicable in 2Spooky.
All right, but things. I think this is probably. I can't believe we got so deep into this conversation so far into the Manga Club. It's crazy how it sometimes evolves. But I genuinely think that there's so much that we can learn as creators from other creators, that if you don't take the time to reach out and try to find somebody who does it better than you. And for me, I always see all of my friends. I see every single one of my friends as a rival. I see, okay, what are they doing better than me? How can I do it better? And some people don't understand that mentality. It's not that I'm wanting you to lose. It's that I'm wanting to win. That way I can be up top and then maybe reach down and help pull you up to where I'm at.
Yeah. Like, go ahead.
I'm very synergistic. Like if you throw me, if I get flung up because of you, I'm going to reach back down and throw you further forward than I am. That way I can do the same thing again.
Oh yeah, mutual and friendly competition is the best. I would say, like, what I've told a lot of people when it comes to YouTube is the more you do YouTube, the more you see it as just kind of like a series of hurdles, right? Like there's going to be everything's going good, and then you're going to come to some problem that you have to get over. And like once you get over that, then you're eventually going to come to the next one, and it's just always continuing, never ends. But I would say one of those hurdles is being able to differentiate, you know, friendly rivalry versus like like taking it the wrong way, because I know like there's been times when like especially like this was something that I had to learn as one of these hurdles to get over, is eventually like you start to compare yourself to other people a little too much, and it can affect you negatively. But you need to look at it as like, oh, you just need to focus on what you're doing. Obviously, like when you want to learn about things and like apply things to like from other creators, don't think of it as like oh, I need to do what they're doing, or I need to um focus on what they are doing, but you need to take elements that you can apply to your own methods and like not have it affect you negatively. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, you
Absolutely.
just need to focus on yourself. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. But if you're able to look at it without, comparing yourself too much to others, that's where I would say you can learn a lot from your friends and from your rivals.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I said, this is why I think you and I get along so well. Is we have very similar mindsets on a lot of things, and it's just so nice to see that.
Hmm.
It's very reaffirming to see that. Well, I think something else that I'd like to say is, when you hit hurdles, because you're going to trip on a hurdle at some point. No matter
Hmm.
what it is, you will trip on a hurdle. What sets average creators apart from good creators and good creators apart from great creators is your ability to get back up and put yourself back in the race.
Fact.
Some creators will hit that hurdle and they just won't ever want to get back up. They'll be like,
Hmm.
"Nope, this is too much. I'm done," and that's fine. That is perfectly acceptable because that means that it wasn't something that you really wanted bad enough, and there's nothing wrong with not wanting to continue. Then there is another level where you trip and you stumble, you fall, and you kind of struggle to get back up. It takes you a little longer to get back up. Is it really worth it? And you eventually decide, yeah, I'm gonna get back up. I'm gonna go to the next hurdle.
Hmm.
And for me, I think that if you hit enough of those, some people, eventually they'll hit enough hurdles where they just don't want to get back up. They'll get
Yeah.
they'll get punched in the gut enough times. They're like, this is too much. I've hit too many problems. Kind of just want to stop here. I did really good, and I just want to stop here. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. And then there are
Mhm.
the creators who, when they hit a hurdle, they somehow end up rolling. They scrape a knee, their teeth are busted out, and they'll stand back up, put in a pair of fake teeth, and keep going. They're the ones who
Yeah.
embrace the suck. Like,
Hmm.
basically, to succeed on YouTube, there is going to be a point where you have to embrace the suck.
Yeah. Like
And that's,
that's why like I compare it to just hurdles in general, because there's so many like things you need to learn to like adapt to, and like things to deal with in general. Like, like the first time you have to deal with like, drama, right? The first time like the first time you get a hate comment, or just dealing with hate comments in general. Like like I just said, where maybe you're comparing yourself to others, or you feel like you're not doing something right. Demonetization, getting a copyright strike, getting multiple copyright strikes. There's just so many things that like you just have to learn and adapt to, especially just like in YouTube alone. So that's why it's like, each thing is a problem. It's a hurdle. You got to find a way to get over it, whether you can just jump over it without an issue. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you, like you said, you fall down, you shatter every bone in your pelvis,
and you
and
just,
got to find to just crawl to the next one.
and
But
that's, for me, that's part of the fun is, I've hit a few hurdles in mine, like in my
Mhm.
creation process. I hit, I was depressed for a while. And I did not want to create. It wasn't that I was burnt out or I didn't have any ideas. I just didn't physically want to create. And I guess that might be the definition of burnout. No,
Yeah,
I
another hurdle.
yeah, I had ideas. I knew what I could create, and I know that I could have created it. But in my mind, I was just going, I don't want to right now. I need to take a step back. It wasn't for any particular reason, but that's one hurdle. Another one is, I've had a little bit of drama. Not, I do my best to avoid it because that's not who I am. I want to try to be the most empathetic person that I can.
Hmm.
Um, but I've hit that. I've hit people. I've had spots where people just did not like my videos at all. That's fine.
Yeah.
Those are all hurdles, and you just got to take it in stride and go, okay, why is this happening? Examine where you're at and take a step forward and say, okay, well, this is what I can do to change that, or you can either change it or you can't.
Yeah.
And
And,
if there's nothing wrong with either solution, if you can change it and make it better, awesome. If you can't change it, well, do you want to move on, or do you want to kind of stop there and potentially save yourself some heartache, some mental trauma?
Mm-hmm. And like the other benefit too of dealing with these problems and like getting over these hurdles is the fact that you definitely come out stronger, you know. At least from experience. I can't speak for everybody, but the more you deal with these things, the more you like develop like immunity to it. Like the next time around, you're like, oh, I've already dealt with this before. I can leap right over that. Not even a problem. Like you get to a point where a comment that might have made like ruined your whole day before is literally laughable. It's like it's so empowering at the same time when you're able to like see that that character development, that arc you got through right there.
I mean,
Applying it back to manga.
and I think this all applies back to manga tube, anime tube, YouTube in general. This is just creator thought processes.
Yeah.
And you know, there may be a point where I hit a hurdle where I choose not to continue anymore. But right now, I'm not seeing those hurdles. Knock on wood.
Yeah, and sometimes it just takes walking away from the track for a bit and then coming back and trying to jump it again.
Yeah, like I'm an example. I have 2 tattoos. I'm horrified of needles. Like I had to hype myself up to get both tattoos, even though the first one wasn't bad and the second one wasn't bad. I'm planning on getting another one, but I still have to hype myself up every single time. I have to step away and be like, okay, I'm now emotionally ready to be stabbed a couple thousand times by a needle.
For sure.
I know, right? No one know. I'm actually able to be more open about having tattoos now since I actually told my mother. So that's a great. But we are actually reaching the end of the Manga Club, which sucks because Spooky and I just love talking each other's ears off. But
have to do it again.
So Spooky, what you know the routine? Tell everyone what kind of projects you have coming up in the future, kind of what you're looking forward to, and then I will think of my question while you're doing
All right.
that.
I will do very quick plug. So, 2Spooky channel, working on a Mortal Kombat video right now. Lots of exciting stuff on the way. Started a new podcast called American Sushi. Maybe go follow it. Subscribe to Loha Lee. What's your question?
My question is, if you were a tape measure, what kind of tape measure would you?
Ooh. I think that I would definitely be a bendy ruler.
A bendy ruler.
Bendy ruler. Because, you know, I can be very focused and intent with what I want to do. You know, if you want to just set me down on a flat surface and measure something out, I got you. But, you know, maybe you need to bend me a little bit to get around a circle. I can adapt.
I would be a cloth tape measure for measuring cloth, mainly because I can do this.
That was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I'm glad because it felt pretty cool. I felt like a Jedi. But
I mean, I'm just a bendy piece of plastic, damn it.
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, these questions always come from checking things around my desk and getting random ideas as we go along. For anyone interested, all of Spooky's stuff will be linked in the description down below. I was gonna say Sushi's stuff, but that's the name of your podcast, American Sushi. You guys know where to find me because you're obviously watching the Manga Club. Oh, you're waiting for an opportunity. I saw that.
You didn't see anything. Nothing happened.
But you guys know where to find me. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Go check out Spooky. Again, like I always say with other creators, if you're watching me and you haven't seen them, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but you need to fix that to watch us both at the same time, which I guess you did just now. For everyone new and old, welcome back. It's your boy Loha, and I will see you next video. We're ending on a dab, okay.